Hey, welcome back, family. Today we're making another good one. We're making creamy chicken and spinach pasta. This is a good one. Y'all stick around. All right, guys, in my bowl I have a pound and a half of cut up chicken thighs. We're going to season with garlic, onion, black pepper. We're going to be using a little Italian seasoning and salt. I'm using penne pasta. We're using cream of mushroom and chicken soup, and we're using some bell pepper and onion. So I'm going to do now, I'm just going to season up my chicken real nicely, real liberally. We're going to use some pink Himalayan salt. Again, we're using granulated garlic, onion, black pepper, and Italian seasoning. This is a really good and easy recipe. Now you can make your cream sauce or whatever for your pasta many ways. You can use heavy cream, you can make a roux and kind of do it that way, but I'm kind of taking shortcuts using the cream of chicken and the cream of mushroom soup because this happens to go really well with the spinach and the chicken the way that we do it. Also, this is a cheeseless recipe, but you could very easily add cheese, Parmesan or Romano cheese at the end to give it that cheesy flavor if you'd like, but I don't like cheese, so that's why I'm leaving it out. After we've seasoned up our chicken, we're just going to go ahead and brown it off. We're not cooking it all the way through, guys. We're just trying to get a nice little color on it. Put a little bit of avocado oil at the bottom of our skillet here, and we're just going to begin to brown our chicken here. It's not going to take long. Again, we're not trying to cook it all the way through, but we do want to get a nice little sear on the outside of our chicken. All right, guys, so we've had our chicken cooking now for a few minutes, and you can see how it's starting to pick up some nice color on it. Not quite where we want it to be just yet, but it's moving along really nicely. So we're going to continue to let it go ahead and cook and continue to get some more color on there. And then we're going to be moving on to our next step, which is adding in our peppers and onions. All right, guys, so now we're back. And what I put in, I had about a whole green and red pepper combined. So if you had one pepper, it was probably the equivalent of one small pepper. Then the same with my white onion. So one small onion, one small pepper. I use green and red. If you only have one of the colors, that would be perfectly fine. I like the red because it just has a nice contrast in color to this it's kind of a bland looking dish with the color of it, but you have that red and stuff in it. It has a nice pop of color with that green from the spinach and the bell pepper. So that's the reason why I like having the red as well. All right, guys, so now we've moved this step. I've allowed my peppers and stuff to sweat for about 3 or 4 minutes. Now we're going to add in both cans of our soup. All I did was put it in the bowl first and added some water, just like you're going to prepare it to eat. Or like if you're making the soup, put your water in, mix up, and then go ahead on and throw it in your skillet as well. And now we're going to go in with our Italian seasoning as well. We're going to bring the soup up to a simmer, and we're just going to let it cook for a little while. Now, if you want your sauce to be a little thicker, you can add a little bit less water to your soup. It's always just right to me, but if you think it's a little too thin also, you can add a little cornstarch slurry to thicken it up some. But once you put in your pasta, it'll be perfectly fine and it'll tighten up really nicely anyhow. You could also, once you're done simmering, you can taste it at that time to see where you're at with your salt and stuff. But I like to be kind of mindful of the amount of salt we use. And also, if you're using cheese, you really want to be mindful of the sodium you're putting in it as well. So we're going to go ahead and just put the lid on top, let it simmer for a few, and then when it's time to come back in, we'll let you see our progress. All right, guys, so we've allowed this to simmer now for about 20 minutes, and we're just going to give it a stir, make sure nothing's sticking on the bottom, see how everything is coming along. It's doing really well, but we still want it to cook a little bit, let those flavors to really marry together and come along. So we're going to put the lid back on and let it go for about another 10 or so, and I'll see you guys back here when it's time to move on to the next step. All right, guys, now it's time to go ahead and add our spinach. I've already got my pasta rolling as well. Like I said, we're at the home stretch now, so it's not going to take long, but we want to go ahead on and begin to get that spinach cooking. The pasta is just about ready. We're cooking it to a nice al dente. When you do your pasta, make sure that you salt your water really well. Season the pasta even while it's cooking. That way it doesn't bring down the flavor of your dish once you add your pasta. But we're just going to put in a couple handfuls of spinach now. Let it cook down a little bit, then we'll add a little bit more in and let it cook down some more. Again, you can taste, that's when you can do some more tasting, make sure you're good where you want to be. And be mindful of your salt and your sodium if you are adding cheese to your pasta. All right, guys, so we've allowed our spinach to cook down for just a little bit. Not quite just ready where we want it yet, but it's looking good. I've only had it in there for about a minute or so. So we're going to let it go for maybe another minute or so before we go ahead and add our pasta in. But I just wanted to give you guys some progress and let you see where we're at. All right, family. Now look at that. Now this, I'm telling you, this could be eaten right now as a chicken and spinach soup. It could be put over some rice, but this pasta is going to be banging. So what we're going to do now, we're just going to go ahead on now and take our pasta out of the pot. I am using one that already, a pot that has like the built-in colander to it. And we're just going to add our pasta directly into our skillet now. We're going to go step by step when adding our pasta to make sure that we don't put too much pasta into there, because you don't want to, have too much pasta and not enough sauce and everything else. And you don't want to have it under as well. So we're just going to do it by steps to get it to the consistency that we want. Once you add your pasta and you get it right where you want to, this is the time where you're going to add in your cheese. Now, if you want to use Parmesan, you can use Romano cheese. You can use any type of kind of like hard or hearty cheese. You could actually put in mozzarella if you wanted to as well. But I think, for the cheese heads, the mozzarella or the Romano would probably work best. Or you can leave it as such, like we're doing here, and just top your dish with cheese. If you're a cheese head or a cheese fan, you could do it that way as well. So what I'm going to do, I've got my skillet turned down on low right now. I'm going to mix up my pasta. Then we're going to turn it completely off, and we're going to let it sit for about 5 to 10 minutes. That way everything can come together so the pasta can soak up these flavors. And then when it's time to plate this bad boy up, I'll let you guys see the final product. All right, guys, and here's our dish. Look how good that looks. I did add a little bit of parsley on top just for a garnish, but that's it. This is our dinner, and I think you guys would enjoy it as much as we did. Hope you guys comment, like, subscribe, share. Till the next time, God bless. Try it. We'll see you around.